Welcome to Week 5 of the official NASCAR Gen 4 iRacing series, and this week you'll be taking on the Pocono Raceway for 50 laps. This week in qualifying, you'll be able to set a quick time on either lap, but as always, I'll be focusing on the final one. Get your tires up to temperature as you make your way around the track at speed, and avoid overdriving the nose through the corners. This car understeers hard if you overstep, so the last thing you'll want to do is overheat your right front before you can set a time. As you make your way around turn 3, run out wide and give yourself as much momentum as you can to begin your lap. It may look like you can truck the car into turn 1, but you'd be surprised with how easy it can be to slide up the track. Hit the chip as you reach the corner, brake at the final cone in the catch fence, and turn the car down to the bottom line. Allow the car to roll for a moment before you get back on the throttle, and ride the right rear as you let the car track out naturally on exit. Run down the backstretch until you hit the final cone before the tunnel turn, where you'll brake, turn in, and try to get as close to the yellow line as you can in the center. That slight correction on entry led me to miss the line by about a foot, so be sure you're decisive when you turn in. Trail brake through the center until you can see the track straighten out, and get back on the gas to pivot the car out of the corner. For turn 3, you want to turn in around the final cone and give yourself a shallower entry. You can afford to drive it in a bit deeper here, but you'll want to be sure to stay as tight to the inside as you can, as any additional distance around this corner will cost you time. Get back on the throttle through the center of the corner and ride that right rear tire as you exit turn 3 to finish your lap. Let's see that again. Let's crank it up. Once the race begins, you'll be starting the race in second gear and focusing on finding your position in line. As always, you want to put yourself in a position to run the bottom in the corners and against the walls in the straightaways, but if you're stuck in traffic, you'll find that the second lane will be best for defense. The car trends tight if you aren't careful, so muffling the run of the cars on your inside will be the best way to defend your position. I ran 10 green flag laps around the traditional line with times ranging from 52.6 to 52.8 seconds. And I found that my tire wear was even on the right side. What this tells me is that while I could have backed off and been more conservative, I found the sweet spot at the beginning of the run, and as a result, the handling of my car likely would have stayed consistent through the remainder of the fuel run. The car starts out neutral, and if you avoid pushing too hard through the corners, it can stay that way, but if you end up deeper in the field and have no choice but to square off your exits, you'll find that the car will trend tight. If you paid attention during the qualifying lap, you may have noticed that the car hits the chip at 197 miles per hour. Something else you may have noticed during your races so far this season is the fact that these cars have way too much draft. With these factors in mind, you'd be correct to assume that you'll be hitting the chip on the straightaways well before the braking point, meaning that the best time to plan and make your passes will be on the exits of the corners. Once you hit that red line, Any progress you are making on the cars ahead of you will be moot, and you'll have to wait until the following corner to regroup. It's frustrating, but if you save your tires at the beginning of the run, this part should be much easier. With 2 sets of tires in the pits and only 1 guaranteed fuel stop, you may feel inclined to set yourself apart from the field by taking a gamble with your tire strategy. Unless you're absolutely certain that you'd be able to maintain the speed difference on fresh rubber, I would advise against this. With the strength of the draft and the stress you'd be putting on your tires by running offline, I'd be willing to bet that you'd be better off pitting with the field and hoping for a good stop. I've seen way too many accidents started as a result of fresh tires making overzealous moves on a track with only 1 racing line, and that's not a position you want to be in. It's especially embarrassing when you're the one doing it, so be sure to keep your circumstances in mind when it comes time to make these choices. If you can manage the draft, keep your tires under the car, and make the right choices as the race rolls on, you could find yourself bringing home the win at the tricky triangle. Good luck.